knows what they're doing? Are you looking for a one-stop shop for all things cannabis lighting? Then check out DutchLightingInnovations.com. On our website, you can learn more about our newest UV technology, which allows us to grow stronger, even better terpene profiles while reducing microbial growth. DutchLightingInnovations.com has all your lighting needs, from HPS to CMH to LED and UV. Lights of the highest quality for growers who know what they're doing. Designed, engineered, and made in Holland. Your one-stop shop for all things cannabis, DutchLightingInnovations.com. You can learn more about our newest UV technology. At DLI, we have decades in experience in both commercial and hobby horticulture. As a result, our engineers have developed a brand new range of horticultural lighting products that combine with the tried and tested manufacturing techniques of the existing commercial lighting products with a modern manufacturing process. As a result, we've created a comprehensive line of horticultural lighting products that are designed to enhance user experience and produce better results. That's DutchLightingInnovations.com.
All throughout history, the term stoner has been used a lot. In common usage, it refers to the guilty, the derelict, and the unsavory. The Oxford Dictionary redefines stoned as a state where you have lost your ability to behave or think normally caused by a drug like marijuana or alcohol. I find that to be unacceptable. Welcome to the Daily Chronicles. Here we talk to different types of stoners from all walks of life. So roll up, load up your bongs, ready up that dab, and tune in as we speak the truth about the stigma. This is the Daily Chronicles.
What's up, my tokers, jokers, and smokers? Welcome back to another edition of the Daily Chronicles, y'all. What up, Rodney in the house? Yo, today, y'all, I got my dude Mike from Dro TV on the show. What's going on, Mike? Welcome to the show.
What's up, Rodney? Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely, my dude. Like, we had that episode back, a few weeks ago. Was it with you and I that released on Dro TV? Y'all, go check it out right now. It's about my first time. You should check it out. Dro TV is amazing, man. I fucking love everything that I'm hearing from Dro TV as of late. But let me ask you, where did it come from? That's what I want to know. Like, Dro TV is like, it's brand new, okay? You started in 2022, okay? And you've already got 200 episodes. This Friday will be your 200th episode, dude. How the hell do you do it that quick? Like, that's a lot of work, dog.
It's a lot of work, yeah. Well, it's kind of like a two-part thing. Like, Dro TV actually started like 2 years ago. My buddy and I, when the pandemic started, we're like, oh, we gotta do something in the weed space. Let's start posting memes and doing, stupid content like that to build a page. And that lasted for like a month or two, and then we kind of gave up on it. And then, side note, I have a record label. I've been a DJ for like over 20 years, so I had a podcast with my record label interviewing different artists, and they would tell the story of how the song came about, how this music video, how this introduction to this producer record happened. And so next, when I wanted to get in the weed space, I'm thinking, well, I gotta come up with a podcast where I can interview almost anybody, regardless of their stature or their level of professionalism. And a buddy of mine on a drunk phone call one night said, everyone wants stories, man. Just have them tell stories. So I said, everyone's got a first time story. So why not have a show called My First Time? And everybody in the weed space, at least if they can remember it, has a story of the first time they got high. So, and yours is definitely one of the best ones. So I would recommend going to our channel, whichever you prefer, and checking out Rodney's My First Time Story. It's a great one.
I appreciate that. I really do. Like on YouTube, y'all, the link is scrolling below. Check it out. youtube.com/somekindofc/DroTV. I appreciate that. I really do. I don't think that I specifically, endured that in my life so it'd make a great story. I think it just happened haphazardly, but it makes it for a great story, and for that.
Yeah.
I did reflect back on that a few weeks ago, like after we did it and watched the episode, and a lot of people watched it and was like, oh my God, it was amazing,
Great.
That's the first time I smoked weed, but I didn't actually get like high. Like when I first sat down to sesh with some people, it was a smoke out in like a full-sized van driving down the highways of Michigan. You know what I'm saying? Like
Nice.
One of those big ass vans, and like we wanted to be high for the ride, but we didn't want to be high for the show that we were playing. So then we just opened up all the windows and did what's called a Michigan freeze out. Because as you well know, if you're high and you run out into the cold, you're not as high anymore. You weren't cold, So It worked out. But no, dude, I appreciate you coming on the show. I really do. Dro TV, Florida in the house, y'all. I want to talk about some stuff going on in Florida. Okay.
Sure.
So Florida seems to be right on the hills, legalization-wise, of Michigan, okay? Meaning, we became legal, decently well before, Florida did. But then Florida became legal. Now, the reason that I'm saying all of this is because I'm already starting to notice some things in Florida that have already happened in Michigan, legalization-wise, and kind of just being rolled out into the public. One of the things that we have noticed in Michigan is that it's cutting down on opiate abuse. Is that something that could be said in Florida as well?
I haven't come across those numbers, but I would only imagine, since you and I know how this business works, that I could only imagine has benefited the level of people that are either hooked on opiates or have since passed because of their opiate addiction. So I don't know those numbers, but I can only imagine. If I was to guess, I would guess it's only helpful.
Hell yeah. I just wonder, because like, let's face it, Florida doesn't have a good rap with bath salts right now. Okay. Like that was a thing from way back in the day. All right. Some dude ate some dude's face or something. I don't know. It was insane. At that point in time, I was kind of like, yo, Florida just needs to smoke some weed. And here we are. But we're going to see, man. We're going to see, because there's a lot of corporate cannabis stuff here going on in Michigan that we don't like. It's very detrimental to the industry itself, thus creating its own corporate, industry. It's fucked. And you're starting to notice that with some people there in Florida. One thing that I really wanted to talk to you about is that you have this show, Dro TV. Obviously, the link's going, scrolling down below. You talk to everybody about their first time, but you don't ever get to talk about yours. So I ask you, Mike, what was your first time smoking weed?
Excellent. Well, I'm not sure exactly when this is going to air, Rodney, but maybe there's something special in store for our 200th episode. But nonetheless, the first time I ever smoked weed was at like a pool party. I was 15, 16 years old, was out of a soda can, and I definitely don't remember getting high. If anything, I remember getting a headache, but I'm sure drinking and partying and everything else probably led to that. But the first time I actually remember getting high.
Yeah.
Another party, we're in the backyard. I'm in the way backyard corner of this fenced in yard. For some reason, we're all huddled there smoking out of this pipe. I want to say it was even a clay pipe. Again, 16, maybe 17 years old. And I remember ripping it, feeling like I was high, walking back into this party, and just like a soundtrack, it was Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With.
There we go.
Wu-Tang Clan Ain't Nothing to Fuck With. And the whole 36 Chambers album played. And I just remember I was sat there on the couch while everyone was just partying, having a good time. I was stoned out of my mind, listening to, it was the first time I ever really listened to 36 Chambers. And it was awesome. So yeah, that was my first time getting high.
I mean, That's so much better than mine. What the fuck are you talking about? Like, yours involves Wu-Tang Clan. It's just better for the people that way.
Lucky enough for me, September of this year, so just 3 months ago, actually almost 3 months to the day, I was able to see Nas, Wu-Tang Clan minus Method Man, and Busta Rhymes in Tampa. So
I heard about that tour.
That was badass. People were smoking everywhere. It wasn't no thing. So it was a good time.
Hell yeah. Wu-Tang Clan, special place in my heart. You know, shout out Jimmy, shout out all the boys. What's up? You know, I interviewed Jimmy King a while back. We're trying to get him back on the show. He's the VP.
I know Jimmy.
Yeah, Jimmy King is a good dude.
He actually started Straight Up Entertainment before he was and did some work with some pretty big dudes in the Boston hip hop scene.
Worcester, if you will. Worcester.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah,
Worcester.
Worcester. I don't know how to fucking say
Worcester.
it. I know where it's at.
I'm a Worcester kid.
Well, it's a small world, but no, I dig it because, like, you know, I was talking to Jimmy. Just texted him last week and was like, "Hey, let's get you back on, you know, the show." He's like, "Let's do it, bro." You know, he just had they had the tour. They had so much shit going on, and then he's working on some other shit there. One thing that he is working on that I would like to shout out is Hole in the Wall Cultivation. He's doing a lot of work with them there. They're trying to, you know, promote cannabis and do what they're doing, man. They're consistent. I love it. I really want to know, like, you know, you want to know about people's first times and stuff like that and cannabis and whatnot, but how hard was it to transition from what you were doing podcast wise with your record label and everything to, you know, doing what you do now with cannabis? Or have you since just parted ways with that? Do you do both, or like, what's the scoop?
I don't do the record label podcast too much anymore. There's a bunch of reasons I could get into, but that'd probably be boring and I'd say stuff I shouldn't. But the cannabis is certainly way more fun. The industry, I was just going to say there's a lot of different characters in the cannabis industry, but there's a ton of characters in the music industry as well. So I guess that's kind of one and the same. But no, I love doing what we're doing. I do have a partner, and he's a younger kid out of Full Sail University, so he went to school for audio and video production. I've got a background in broadcasting and audio video production as well, so that's how we're able to crank out. I mean, right now we just started a second show, so we're putting a show out 6 days a week right now. So it's a lot of work, but we're trying to build as fast as we can and kind of make up for all this time where I should have been focused on the cannabis industry and instead was focused on other things. So nonetheless, I'm kind of going with the quantity over quality at this point. I do think we put out a quality show, but at the same time, I'm trying to increase my network so I can increase my net worth. So really, that's kind of the approach I'm taking right now.
That's the truth of it. I mean, you know, if you want to continue doing what you're doing, you know, I'm just going to assume, you know, make an ass of myself, if you will, that you're happy doing this, you know. In order to continue doing what you want to do and being happy, it's got to be funded, man. You know what I mean? That's the truth of it. Like, you got to increase that net worth. And, like, the more you have funding-wise, the more, you know, at your availability, the more you're able to do. People don't understand that. You know, people think that, oh, you're just going to cash out a check and get uber rich. No, I'm going to cash that check, put it into what I'm doing, and keep doing this shit. You know what I mean? That's the truth of it. Let's talk about your show, you know, a little bit. Dro TV, if you don't mind, here we go. I'll give you my honest thoughts, you know, kind of rapid fire, if you will.
Do it.
I think that it's short, simple, sweet, and easy to remember. I think that that's a good thing given, you know, the attention spans of the goldfish that we call people in society these days with Twitter and everything. I think it's brilliant. I think that it's a good show for a first time. You know what I'm saying? Like, a good presence. It's got good production value. You know, you can obviously tell that you've done this before. You know, it's to the point where, you know, I shouldn't be saying any of this because, I mean, technically it is competition, but I don't see it as competition. I see it as you're in Florida and Florida needs it the same as Michigan needs me. That's the way I see it. There are other people in Florida with other shows, and there are people in Michigan with other shows. And, you know, those are great shows. Some of them, most of them. But at the same time, you don't steal anybody's ideas. That's the important kicker for me. You don't just go, hey, I'm going to, start this show. I'm going to completely rip off this person's logo or this person's soundtrack or this person's editing. You're not looking at other people stealing their ideas. I say that because there are a few shows in Michigan that have done that to me, that it's very obvious that they've done that, okay? And the reason that we're calling that out is because we're at the stage in cannabis and entertainment, if you will, where you have to actually start calling that shit out. You know what I'm saying? That's the truth of it. I would expect nothing less, of people in opposition of me. If I'm doing something, that, let's say with Dro TV, if I switched it from deliciously dope to TV or something, obviously, then you're going to call me out about it. Be like, yeah. So let me get this straight. You were completely different until you met me. And then for some reason, after that show, after you met me, you started doing shit different. And that different shit that you're doing just so happens to be very similar to what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. Alarm bells are fucking ringing, but you don't do that. You're very genuine. I had a great time on the fucking show. You're very informative and you give a shit about the content, I was nervous the entire time, and I don't get nervous on shows.
Okay.
That's the truth. I get nervous, a little bit here and there, but that's more social anxiety. On your show, it was full blown butterflies. Wow. I felt a presence there. I felt an energy, dog. I felt comfortable, but like in front of a live studio audience, if you will, a little bit. But that leads me to another point that I want to ask. So we've been seeing it go around in entertainment. Okay, we've seen Taylor Swift concert tickets at $10,000. We've seen other venues and shit at hundreds of dollars that are astronomical. I don't know about you, but I come from the age of where concert tickets were like $20 to $50 for like even your high end people. Okay. Mm-hmm. How the fuck are you going to go from $20 to $50, VIP being a couple hundred, but I'm talking like general admission, to $10,000? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, I understand inflation, but that's just a quantum leap. Now, I started also noticing that people aren't going out to eat as much anymore. They are, but not to your fine high-end establishments. They're just not doing it. The reason... it's too expensive. Mm-hmm. So in a world where everything's too expensive and, you're trying to create a show, aptly, that's fine. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that we're going to have a point in time where that those things are a thing of the past? Or do you think that we're going to actually level it out sometime?
So you're talking about the increase of everything, mm-hmm. essentially? Mm-hmm. Okay. Really, to get at the heart of that is a conversation. I don't even know if we can touch on it.
But yeah,
we can touch on it. Mm-hmm. But really, I think it's almost out of our control at this point. I don't know what we can do as consumers, and I mean cannabis consumers. Mm-hmm. I mean media consumers. I'm not even sure what we can do. I think it's like the cat's out of the bag, and this internet machine, this government money printing machine is just out of control, and we just have to let it come crashing down so we can rise up out of the ashes. And it's funny, Rodney, I want to touch on something real quick we were just talking about. I definitely try not to ever steal someone's ideas.
Right.
But I do emulate certain people, and there are people, I basically call them virtual mentors because they've never heard of me, but I watch a lot of their stuff, and they're either marketing guys, they're interview guys, other podcasts, and there might be a few people out there that are trying to do what Dro TV does. I've seen certain things change with other podcasts after we started doing things. I know they say imitation is supposed to be the highest form of flattery, and maybe that's true. But a lot of times it just tells me that what I'm doing is what obviously I'm doing something right. If someone else
copying you for a reason, right?
And I also look at it, and I promote other podcasts all the time. I promote other shows all the time because not everybody likes me or likes the content we put out. Maybe they come here to watch your episode and then they're gone. That's completely fine. I know that there's so much other stuff out there that, I mean, even myself, I don't watch everything I do. There's no way I could. But I also think that, you know, where people they're copying, and sometimes there's haters. In a way, that's what fuels me. I like when people say, "Oh, you shouldn't do this or you shouldn't do that," and then I might look at it and say, "You know what? Maybe this guy had a point, or maybe the guy's full of shit. He's just trying to get me off my game." But I do pay attention to a lot. I do watch a lot of what other people are doing, mostly because if I look at something and go, "Oh, you know, if they did it this way, maybe they could do it better," or I like the way this woman is getting across this message. You know what? Maybe from a man, it would resonate differently because maybe she's not respected enough in her position, and men aren't. So I certainly watch a lot and pay attention to a lot of what other people are doing, and you know, I might not copy the formula 100%, but I'm definitely looking at what works and trying to figure out how I can incorporate that into what we do at Dro TV.
Oh, dude, and here's the thing, you know, over the years, I've done the same thing. I'm guilty of that as well, so be it. But I've never outlandishly just approached a certain specific idea used by a different person and you know, called it my own.
Sure.
There's one thing is paying homage to something. There's another thing, flattery. It's one thing if I'm like, hey, man, though, the Dro TV, can I use that logo? And this is... Collaboration is one thing. I love that. But to specifically... and knowingly burn a person, you know what I'm saying, or you know, steal an idea or whatever have you, those people are assholes. And the entire reason I was calling that out isn't because it's happened to me recently. It's just something that I thought about. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't because of you. It was actually because of another unknown or unnamed podcast that I was scrolling through, and it popped back up. I thought I'd removed them because I was just like, I don't have time for this. Yeah. And then I saw it, and I was like, this is a good talking point. You know what I mean? The people should learn from this. Okay. It's one thing to use another artist's music, okay, without permission, and they'd be like, hey, my bad, can I use that? And then you figure it out. But, like, it's another thing just to straight rip it off, man. And kind of coming back to the whole concert, you know, going out to eating thing, I feel that, like, in the next, like, 20 or 30 years, going out to eat and concerts, live concerts, those are going to be gone. They're going to be, you know, you got DoorDash that's just going to, you know, bring your shit to... It's heartbreaking because... I'm both a cook and a musician, you know, and so it's like not having that interaction of an audience or the interaction of, you know, people in the dining room or whatever. It's isolating, it's solitude, you know, it's fucking, you know, heart-wrenching. So I'm going to do whatever I possibly can to promote other people, to promote going out to eat at good restaurants, you know, let's face it. And that's the point, man, you know, so it's just... I may not be able to eat at every single restaurant. I may not be able to watch every show or listen to every song, but I'm going to definitely share the shit that I support. And that's the entire message, you know. Support those that need supporting, man. Don't support those that are, you know, I'm $1 billion corporation. I was just in Vegas at MJ BizCon. I'm the shit. You're not, you know, that's the problem. You're delusional, and that's the best part for me anyway. But I want to talk more about Florida. You know, I love Florida. I've been there a couple of times. I mean, to me, I kind of want to go back and look for the fucking Fountain of Youth. You know what I mean? Ponce de Leon couldn't have been wrong. But, you know, I have a brother that lives in Florida. You know, I feel that it's a very long time coming. I should go back to Florida. I got to go back to the Panhandle and check it out. I definitely want to smoke some Florida weed. You know, that's on my bucket list. Okay. A lot of people have had bucket lists. You know, they're like, I want to go see Istanbul. That's cool. Istanbul's great. I want to go smoke weed in Istanbul. That's a whole different. That's a whole different thing. And you can because certain things are legal now.
Sure.
I want to ask you, kind of spinning it around here a little bit and changing the gears because, you know, ADD. What are some of the trends that you've noticed in cannabis in, say, I don't know, the last couple of years?
Specific to Florida or the industry in general?
Hey, Both, man. Florida first, though, because now I'm curious, because you split that question in two. So now I know that there's stuff that, so now I want to hear both. Sorry. I didn't want to make more work for you, but you did it to yourself.
No, that's okay. I'll send you my bill after for my price for labor. But no, I say that because we recently we were a vendor at the Florida Cannabis Festival, which is the largest festival just outside here of Orlando.
Is that the one with the turtle on the thing?
That was one with the turtle. Yep. So that
okay.
was beginning in November. 20,000 people over a 2-day event, Saturday and Sunday, and mushrooms for sale. Pounds of weed getting slung in and out of that place, and it was, you know, you would say the Wild West, but it's really how things should be, right? Just adults,
bizarre,
consenting adults buying plant medicine. People, you know, there was like a group of bikers with like, you know, Trump 2024 on, and then there was, you know, all kinds of, I always say, shapes, sizes, colors, and persuasions. Nobody was arguing. Nobody was yelling. Everyone was just smoking weed, having a good time. And before I moved down here, one of my biggest concerns, leaving Massachusetts, which is 100% legal, rec and medicinal, you know, one of my biggest concerns was, you know, everybody always hears of the cops and the police in Florida, and it is still an issue. I think luckily Tampa, the bigger cities, Tampa, Orlando, Miami, it's heavily decriminalized, so I don't think they, you know, bust your balls as much about it. Not that the police can't do whatever they want whenever they want, because that's kind of comes with it.
Know your rights.
Officer discretion. If I want to detain you or pull you over or put you in handcuffs or put my knee on your back, they can do whatever they want. They are the world's largest gang. But it just blew my mind that we had gone to a festival earlier this year where people were smoking weed. I bought some mushrooms behind the scene. Now this was like out in the open. It was a farmer's market. It was kind of like the country outside of Orlando, like 20, 25 minutes north of Orlando. So I don't know if it was just one of those, you know, the good old boys got paid off to look the other way. We got private security, something like that. But to see more of these events coming up, the one that we went to earlier this year, it was a 1-day event. Julian Marley was the headliner at this festival. Now it's a 2-day festival. They anticipate 3 times the amount of people. So also to talk about people going out to eat and people going to concerts, I think the cannabis community has a perfect opportunity to create these larger events where, I mean, this one I was talking to you about where people were selling mushrooms and 20,000 people, there were kids there, there were dogs there, there were families there. And
it's a farmer's market.
Nobody, at least that I know of, I don't think anyone was taken off in an ambulance. I don't think, you know, anyone got in fisticuffs, drunken fight or anything like that. So I think the more that we can have these events, the more people. I invited somebody that I didn't think knew about. I don't want to say she's like an older hippie because she's not a hippie anymore, but I think in her earlier days, psychedelics and everything else, 100%. So I invited her because I wanted her to see what I had going on. She's a friend. She's a little bit older. And she was blown away by how everything was free and out in the open. And I said, well, isn't this how it should be? What's going on? Is there any, like, show me where the criminals are? And she conceded and said, no, this is how it should be. And so, I think these are the examples that we need to show people and be setting for the future generation coming up who's going to be here when we're gone, Rodney. And, you know, I think this maybe is one of those things that brings people outside to an art festival, a cannabis festival, a music festival. We incorporate all these into one. And maybe this is something where, you know, we're not losing that touch with each other and human beings.
That connection, you know, that's the whole reason I cook, man, is the interpersonal connection. Weed's the same way. You'll find that there are a great number of things that on this earth that allow us to persist when we don't want to persist, or what I mean is like persevere is really the word, and kind of break through. Food's the same way, weed's the same way, and so that's why I want to just make it to where, with weed coming to the stage, coming legal, it's legal damn near almost everywhere now. It's only going to become more legal. That's the truth of it at this point. So accepting the inevitable of legalization there, however long, I look at it, you're going to start putting weed in restaurants and opening up cafes and consumption lounges and all of these things, as well as having these events. Now, to me, there is a huge difference between a licensed and an unlicensed event here in Michigan. I can only speak on Michigan because it's all I know, and I'll be as quick as I can. An unlicensed event, obviously, you're not taking up permits, you're not getting this, you just have a huge field, basically, throw a bunch of people into it, there's your unlicensed event. A licensed event is generally where you obtain a permit, you obtain this and that and the other through MRA, which is the Michigan Marijuana, it's the Marijuana Regulatory Association here in Michigan. Fuck them. And they have this system called metric and all of this stuff. And it's interesting because everything that dispensaries put out here is terrible, whereas the caregiver stuff actually is the best. So it is what it is. My point, now you're having the MRA bust these unlicensed events, which are also commonly known as clubs and stuff, quote unquote, because they didn't purchase a permit. That's interesting because we live in a state where I could give it to people. You know what I'm saying? There's no proof of sales at these events. Everything's being given away. It's a place where a person can privately smoke with other people outside of their house. So it's, human interaction and connection after a COVID, the COVID pandemic and a scare. So it's just a bunch of positive shit going on. And then you have, thugs that come in and say, you didn't purchase a permit, kick in the door and raid the damn thing. Ain't right. And then y'all motherfuckers want us to actually buy permits. And then we find out that when we buy the permits and do whatever you tell us to do and jump through the hoops, you're kicking in the door all the same. Sorry. I'm not digging that, and so I've kind of shied away from the whole politicizing certain aspects of pot itself, and kind of just wanting to advocate with, listen, legalization's coming whether people like it or not. Okay, I'm pro cannabis. You want to hear about that, we'll talk. But I'm gonna try and make a roadmap of some of the best dispensaries in the United States, some of the best places to go, hotel wise and shit that'll allow you to smoke, and some of the best fucking restaurants to go to that are weed friendly, if not infused weed. I think that a travel map like that is most definitely, needed in the coming age of cannabis and ganja, but, and I think that Dro TV is right there. I really do. I think that Dro TV's right there with, talking about the culture behind cannabis, which allows me to help pursue, the caveats of where these certain things are. For example, hole in the wall cultivation in Worcester, that area, definitely go there. Here in Michigan, seek out, let's see, a good Apothecary in Ann Arbor is pretty good. Here in Lansing, there's a few dispensaries to stop by that sell some of the MCMA products, but don't buy those. You know what I'm saying? Just because they sell them doesn't mean you have to buy them. There's certain products that are actively attacking caregivers' rights. That's the medicinal side of it and stuff like that. And they still continue to sell these alongside, certain other companies that you should definitely buy. Not only is it a better product, but they're not actively attacking caregivers, which I think is pretty cool. But no, man, I appreciate you coming on. I really do. Dro TV, go check it out. Now, if you want a Dro TV t-shirt or any kind of Dro TV merch, look below, y'all. There's the Etsy website. That's etsy.com/shop/ownlanemedia. Go buy a shirt. If you don't, you're weak sauce. Also, check out their Instagram, Dro TV. Hi from Florida. I love that.
We just came out. We just came out with a line of shirts. Mm-hmm. Hi from all 50 states. So you can be hi from Florida, you can be hi from Michigan. If you go down to that link down there, you can check out all of our shirts, and it's one way you can support us here at Dro TV. It would be appreciated. So thank you, Rodney.
If I see anybody wearing a Dro TV shirt or a hi from shirt from Own Lane Media, I will give you a hug and a high five, a crisp high five, like the coolest of high fives. You know what I'm saying? That's the coolest thing I've ever seen. But yeah, y'all go check them out. Dro Media. Dro.tv on YouTube, Dro TV, Instagram. Here's a link tree actually. So for all things Dro TV, go to this bitch. This right here.
Right there.
That's dope as hell. But yeah, man, Mike, dude, I love what you're doing. I really do. Keep fucking doing it, please. Keep pissing people off. Not that you are, but you know, piss them off. I
we
need
might
help
have some
with this.
content coming out that might. We might be putting something out here soon that might piss some people off. So
Good. Good. I think that there are a few people that need to be pissed off and deserve to be pissed off these days. But I digress, man.
You mentioned calling people out earlier, and I'm all for that. I'm usually not the best at doing that because I'm a Boston guy. We bust balls, we go hard, we talk a lot of shit. So usually when I, verbally attack somebody, if you will, that's what it is. It ends up being a verbal attack. So I choose to, especially with the energy I want to put out there, I try not to get into too many of those types of arguments, but I'm all for people calling out other people out, especially if someone was scammed or someone stole something or whatever. Put that person on blast. They deserve to be, put the spotlight on. So
at the same time, and I just want to add just real quick, if you don't mind, I have noticed, because I do call people out. I'm a fucking cook by nature. That's my career. If you fuck up, I'm going to point something. That's how we are. We are absolutely truthful. So a lot of people lie, and that's the truth. But we are going to call it like we see it. At least I do. We don't understand. In a kitchen, there's really no room for alternative realities. Although they are there, there's really no room for them. More of my point. When I call somebody out, I before I call them out, I see if it's worth it, because they may just be pissing me off to get their 15 minutes of fame. They may just be pissing me off so that, they can get, acknowledged and stuff like that. So it's really who's trying to do what. So I look at how they're, doing it, and I react accordingly. 90% of the time, I just ghost myself. People call that toxic. I don't. I'm removing the problem. I shouldn't have to announce to you that you were talking shit and blah, blah, blah. I'm just going to cut you out. I'm just going to assume that you're doing that to get a reaction from me, so I put you on blast to give you, this popularity. Fuck that. I'm just going to ghost you. Which you're going to find out is a lot more effective than anything that you could possibly try and do calling them out on the internet. But here's what it is. I want to get everybody on the train of Dro TV. I want to get everybody watching it. I find myself enamored by hearing people's first stories, bro. Like, it's pretty fucking cool. It really is. But I digress, y'all. I appreciate you coming on the show today, Mike. I really do. Y'all, check out Dro TV. If you don't, the terrorists win. But yeah, man, I really like what you're doing. I do. I really appreciate you coming on the show. And yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the idea. I think we talked about a lot of shit inside of the last 30 minutes. I think that it's fucking cool. And honestly, to tell you the truth, I can't fucking wait to come to Florida. That'd be dope as fuck.
I know you said your brother's in the Lakeland area. I'm not too far from there, so definitely let me know when you're coming down. We'll get you some of that Florida weed.
Let's do it to it, brother. But until then, my tokers, my jokers, and my smokers, I want to thank Mike from Dro TV for coming on the show. This has been another amazing episode of the Daily CHRONIClez, y'all. We'll catch you on the flip. Peace.